Imagine waking up at 30 and realizing that you spent your entire 20s chasing goals that were never yours. Why does no one warn us in time? Why do we feel like we're always running late? And what if the real mistake isn't failing, but living according to a script we didn't choose? Today, we're going to talk about what really matters in your 20s before it's too late. The truth is that your 20s can become the foundation of a life that makes you proud, or the silent origin of a long chain of regrets. And the most unsettling part is that almost no one receives the right warnings during this decade. We receive pressure, expectations, comparisons, but not clarity. Social media makes us believe that everyone is living a perfect version of their story. We see constant travel, houses bought before 25, dream weddings, companies that take off in record time. And while we observe that carefully filtered showcase, a question begins to settle in our minds. Am I late? But what we see is only the visible 1%. Behind it exists a chaotic 99%, full of doubts, mistakes, improvisations, and failures that no one posts. The idea that there is a rigid timeline we all must follow is a myth inherited from another world that no longer exists. In real life, each person moves at a different speed, and the greatest relief comes when you understand that no one has it all figured out, not even those who seem to. And if no one has it clear, then your 20s are not for demonstrating perfection, they are for discovering who you are becoming. Think of your 20s as a huge identity laboratory, not as an exam room where you must provide definitive answers, but as a space for constant experimentation. This is the moment to try, make mistakes, change direction, and start over without the meaning failure. Since we were children, we've been asked a seemingly simple but deeply heavy question: what do you want to be? As if life were a single, irreversible choice. But identity is not a fixed destination. It is a process in motion. You are not designed to have a perfect answer at 22 years old. Instead of asking yourself, what should I do with my life? Perhaps the right question is, what can I try now? Try new hobbies. Start projects even if you don't know if they will work. Change jobs, explore different industries. Travel if you have the opportunity. Meet people with different mindsets than yours. Each experience, even the ones that seem like mistakes, reveals something about you. It shows you what energizes you and what drains you, what fits with you and what you simply adopted due to external pressure. And yes, changing your mind is valid. In fact, it is a sign of growth. Clinging to an old version of yourself just because you once said that was your path can become a silent prison. What you wanted at 18 may not be what you need at 25, and that doesn't mean inconsistency, it means evolution. Your 20s are not for being a finalized version of yourself. They are for becoming, to mold yourself, to discover what feels authentic and what was imposed. Each attempt, each adjustment, each change of course is part of the process of building a life that you truly feel is your own. Embracing uncertainty is not weakness, it is bravery, because only those who allow themselves to explore can truly get to know themselves. When it comes to relationships, your 20s mark a silent but decisive turning point. In adolescence, many friendships are born out of convenience. Classmates, neighbors, people who were simply there. You didn't always choose with intention, you just happened to coincide. But in your 20s, it's no longer about coincidence, it's about choice. You start to notice that not all relationships contribute the same. Some push you, inspire you, make you feel seen and understood. Others drain you, fill you with doubt, drag you toward versions of yourself that you no longer want to sustain. And here an uncomfortable truth appears. Not all relationships are meant to last forever. Sometimes we maintain bonds out of shared history, out of habit, or out of fear of being alone. But comfort is not always connection. Familiarity is not always growth. Your 20s are the moment to learn to distinguish between relationships that nourish and relationships that drain. Letting go is not betrayal, it is maturity. When you release bonds that are no longer aligned with who you are building, you create space for deeper, more honest, more enriching connections. It's not about accumulating 100 friendships. It's about surrounding yourself with a few people who truly understand you, who celebrate your growth, and who also challenge you to improve. Research on long-term well-being is clear. The quality of our relationships is one of the greatest predictors of happiness and physical health. not professional success, not money, relationships. That is why invest with intention. Choose people who feel like light, not like anchors. People who respect your boundaries, who value your dreams, and who are willing to grow with you. And remember that this also applies to romantic relationships. Do not confuse intensity with compatibility. Do not confuse attention with real love. The true bond does not reduce you, it expands you. In your 20s, you are learning who you are. Make sure that those around you are not defining you by inertia, but accompanying you by conscious choice. There is something most discover too late. The financial habits you build in your 20s don't disappear, they amplify. This decade is not about becoming a millionaire overnight, but about developing intention. Because money is not just numbers in an account, it is direction. Many believe that managing their finances well means depriving themselves of everything, eliminating any small pleasure, and living in constant restriction. But the key is not extreme deprivation, it is awareness. Knowing where your money goes and why, understanding the difference between spending on impulse and spending with intention. You don't have to stop drinking coffee or give up every enjoyment, but you do need to understand the cumulative impact of your decisions. Just as mistakes accumulate, smart decisions do too. If you can, start investing even small amounts. Compound interest works silently but powerfully. Small amounts invested consistently in your 20s can transform into significant sums over time. It's not magic, it's consistency. Financial education is one of the most important skills you can develop, and it's rarely taught in school. Learn about savings, investment, debt, credit, and budgets. Not to obsess over money, but to use it as a tool. Because money well managed buys something more valuable than objects. It buys freedom. Freedom to say no to jobs that don't respect you. Freedom to change cities if you wish. Freedom to take calculated risks. Freedom to support the people you love. The true financial freedom is not a sports car or a mansion. It is the peace of mind of knowing that you have options. It is not living trapped by impulsive financial decisions of the past. Start small. Be consistent. You don't need perfection. You need conscious discipline. Each habit you build now will be a foundation upon which your future self will walk. And in 10 or 20 years, there will only be two possibilities. You will be grateful for having started early, or you will wish you had. Do you want me to continue with Chapter 4? Health investment? In your 20s, it's easy to feel invincible. Your body responds quickly, you recover in a short time, you can sleep little, eat poorly for days, go out partying, and still keep functioning. That feeling of resilience creates a dangerous illusion, believing that it will always be this way. But health works like compound interest. Both good habits and bad ones accumulate in silence. You don't always see the immediate consequences, but they are building up under the surface. Every night without enough sleep, every prolonged period of unmanaged stress, every unhealthy habit repeated frequently leaves a mark. And in the same way, every conscious decision in favor of your well-being also leaves a positive mark that will grow over time. Prioritize movement. You don't need extreme workouts or impossible routines. It can be a daily walk, short but constant exercises. The important thing is regularity, not occasional intensity. Protect your sleep as if your life depends on it, because in large part it does. Rest influences your mental clarity, your emotional stability, your ability to concentrate, and your long-term physical health. Choose real foods most of the time. It's not about obsessing over perfection or eliminating every pleasure, but about building a sustainable foundation. Consistency beats perfection every time. And don't forget mental health. Learn to recognize stress. Listen to your thoughts. If you need professional help, seeking it is not weakness, it is responsibility. Understanding your emotions and developing tools to manage them is an investment that will impact every area of your life. In your 30s, 40s, and beyond, you will be grateful for the decisions you took today, or you will try to repair what was neglected for years. Treat your body and your mind as you would treat a best friend, with respect, care, and constant attention. Not because you should look perfect, but because you deserve long-term well-being. For a long time, we were taught that professional life should follow a straight ladder, choosing a career, starting from the bottom, and ascending step by step to the top. But the current world no longer works like that. Your 20s are not designed to execute a rigid plan, but to explore possibilities. Your first jobs are not final destinations. They are training grounds. They are spaces where you learn skills, discover your limits, and understand what type of environment pushes you and which one wears you down. Staying on a path that you hate just for fear of appearing inconsistent is not loyalty, it is stagnation. There is a great difference between quitting due to a lack of discipline and changing strategically because you have understood that that path is not for you. Quitting a wrong direction is not failure, it is clarity. Each job, even the ones you don't like, leaves you with something valuable. You learn communication, you learn to solve problems, you learn to work in a team, you learn resilience. Each experience adds one more tool to your personal skill belt. Instead of obsessing over finding your perfect vocation immediately, focus on developing adaptability and a growth mindset. The market changes, industries evolve, opportunities arise where they didn't exist before. The capacity to learn and adjust will always be more valuable than blind loyalty to a single path. When looking for clarity, reflect on three fundamental questions. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What generates value for other people? The point where these three areas cross is usually the space where meaningful work appears. You don't need to have all the answers at 22 or at 25. You need curiosity and movement. Clarity arrives through action, not passive waiting. Your 20s are the professional laboratory where you experiment, correct, and grow. It's not the time to prove that you already know everything. It's the time to learn enough to take more conscious decisions in the future. Now we pass to the final conclusion. Your 20s are not the finish line. They are the launch pad. They are not a competition against the clock, nor a performance for others to applaud. They are a messy, intense, sometimes confusing, but deeply formative decade. A stage where you build and destroy ideas about yourself, where you learn, unlearn, and start over. You don't need perfection. You don't need a definitive plan. You need curiosity. You need to move forward even if it's with small steps. You need to accept that making mistakes is part of the process. The future is not something that simply happens to you. It is something you are building right now, with every seemingly small decision, with every relationship you choose to keep or let go, with every financial habit you adopt, with every care you give to your health, with every professional experience you decide to try. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to dream bigger. Don't be afraid to change, because it's never too late to become the person you are meant to be.